Hey, how's everyone doing? IG here again for the second installment covering the human nose. We're using a pine knot, specifically lodgepole pine. Happens to be my favorite since it's plentiful and it has some wonderful characteristics. Here I'm using a flame burr saber tooth style bit. I find them long lasting and totally reliable. I know some prefer cut saw burrs for their carving needs. I'm sure they're great, but I've yet to try one out. The Saburr bit removes wood quickly despite its years of use, so I keep using it, although it seems a little worn from extensive use. Yeah, pine wood tends to be softer compared to some hardwood deciduous trees like oak or walnut. You have to be somewhat mindful not to remove too much wood, especially around the nose area, because once you take too much off, there's no turning back. So you have to modify things in case something like that happens. It tends to be a smaller nose, perhaps. So you got to be extra cautious. Here I've switched to the spherical Saburr bit. I tend to use this style burr pretty extensively when I'm starting the rough out phase. Spherical burr works really good because it doesn't create any harsh edges, and usually that's what you want when you're roughing things out. You don't want to introduce any sharp angles and stuff right away. That'll come later. I think it's good to bounce around on the face, not just focus on one area constantly. It's always good to balance the operation out from each side of the face just to even things out properly. Yeah, the nice thing about pine knots are they're already cylindrical, so they kind of match the shape of a human face, so it's quite nice to work with. So you basically have the shapes already there for you. Yeah, I'm actually using a Dremel flex shaft in this video. And it's connected to a generic rotary tool. And it's not a real Dremel, but they interchange with some third-party Dremel, so it's kind of nice. I'm using a coarser steel wool this time to smooth things out. There's different grades, of course, and you can get everything from coarse to super fine, depending on your needs. And then I usually finish up with a softer or finer mesh steel wool towards the end. It just kind of like it has a polishing effect actually on the wood, and almost like it's almost creates like a semi-glossy look to the wood. Yeah, even though this guide is covering the nose, I tend to migrate back to the eye area when I see something that needs work. I'm using a smaller football shape like carbide burr, and I'm bouncing around a bit, addressing areas around the eyes. Yeah, so these are just like basic tools I use. You may find that you have other types of tools and burrs that you use, and that's fine. It just depends on your preference and stuff like that. But otherwise, this is a basic setup scenario that I use pretty much every time I go around making a face. Yeah, I think the nose is probably the easiest thing to accomplish when you're carving a face. Usually the eyes are probably the most difficult, I would imagine. And then from there, the mouth is probably the second hardest, I would think. And then the nose, it's fairly easy to do. There's not much there to visualize. Here I switched over to a spherical carbide burr. Pretty much no thrills. I think it's a 1/2 inch diameter, but it's good for removing large chunks of wood in the open areas of the face, like you see here. With this face, I'm again going from imagination as well as letting the material dictate the outcome. It's not based on any particular photograph or image. Although I do refer to some reference pictures when it comes to anatomical parts of the face. Here I'm using a larger egg or football style carbide burr. It leaves behind a smoother finish after going over the wood, as opposed to a saber tooth burr. In the next and third video, we're going to be covering the mouth and area, as well as texturing the beard around the mouth, mustache, and chin area. So it should be fun, and it's going to be coming along fine. And then we'll wrap it up with some kind of detailed video covering basic intricacies and so forth like that, details, etc. So stay tuned for that. That should be a good one. Maybe learn a few things from that video as well. So that puts the wraps on this video. Hopefully you guys got something out of it, and we'll see you guys on the next one. Thanks for stopping by, and appreciate it as always. Take care.